Hello everyone, this is Rahita, Assistant Professor of CAC Department from Rohini College of Engineering and Technology. I'm here to explain a few topics of the subject Database Management System. Let us see about data models. So first data model what we are going to see is object-based logical models. So it is a collection of conceptual tools for describing the data relationships and the data constraints. So there are various object-based models like entity relationship model, object-oriented model. So entity relationship model we shortly call it as ER data model, which uses a collection of basic objects called entities and relationships among these objects. An entity is a thing or object in the real world that is distinguishable from other objects. An entity relationship model is widely used in database design. Object-based logical models. It is a collection of conceptual tools for describing the data relationships and the data constraints. So there are various object-based models like entity relationship model and the relational model. So the relational model uses a collection of tables to represent both data and the relationships among those data. And each table has multiple columns and each column has a unique name. So the tables are also known as relations, and the relational model is an example of record-based model. The record-based models are also named as because of the database is structured in fixed format records of several types. So each table contains records of a particular type, and the record type defines a fixed number of fields or attributes. So the columns of the table correspond to the attributes of the record type. Now let us see about hierarchical data model. So in this model, it organizes the data in a tree structure. So we call it as hierarchical data model. Hierarchy of parents and child segments, and the data is represented by a collection of record types. Next, we are going to see about network data model. It organizes the data in a graph structure, and the relationships among the data are represented by links. Data is represented by a collection of record types. Now let us see about the database system architecture. So there are three-tier and three-tier architecture. Two-tier architecture, the application resides at the client machine. The two-tier architecture application resides at the client machine where it invokes the database system functionality at the server machine through the query language statements. Application program interface standards like ODBC and JDBC are used for the interaction between the client and the server. In contrast, in a three-tier architecture, the client machine acts as a merely front end and does not contain any direct database calls. So instead, the client end communicates with an application server, usually through a form interface. Components of DBMS. The functional components of a database system can be divided into three units: storage manager, query processor, and the database users and administrators. So this is the diagram which shows a three-tier architecture. Here, storage manager. It is an important because database typically requires a large amount of storage space, and it is a program module that provides an interface between the low-level data stored in a database and application programs and queries submitted to the system. It includes the following components: authorization and integrity manager, which tests for the satisfaction of integrity constraints and checks the majority authority of users to access the data. The transaction manager, which ensures that the database remains in a consistent state when the system failures and that the concurrent transaction execution proceed without conflicting. The file manager, which manages the allocation of storage space in disk and data structures used to store that information. The buffer manager, which is responsible for fetching the data from the disk to the main memory. Now let us see about query processor. So it contains the following components: DDL interpreter, which interprets the DDL statements and it converts the DDL statement into a low-level data. DML compiler, which translates the DML statements into a low-level instruction that the query evaluation engine understands, also performs the query optimization. This engine which executes a low-level instruction generated by the DML compiler. Nowadays, we are the users, that is the database users, or the application programmers, sophisticated users, specialized users, and the main users, and also about the database administrator. So, the application programmers or the computer professionals who interact with the system through the DMA calls, so which is embedded in the program written in a hot source language. Which language? Maybe it will be COBOL, Pascal, C, etc. So sophisticated users or they interact with the system through the database query language. The specialized users who write specialized database applications that do the into relational data for the processing framework. Many users interact with the system by invoking one of the prominent applications, and the database administrators or the person who has such a central control over the system is called the database administrator. Thank you.